Hey there, my name is Courtney Sanford, and I am going to be talking to you about Marilyn Friedman's nursing theory, which was specifically family nursing. So Marilyn Friedman was a nurse educator for California State University in the Los Angeles campus. She spent most of her career there. And in the 1970s, while she was teaching, she discovered that there was a need for family nursing. There was no textbook that was specific to family nursing, and she believed that it was pertinent that her students understand the importance of family nursing. So she developed an assessment tool with a focus on the structure and function of families, and later published Family Nursing Theory and Assessment in the 1980s, which is a textbook that is still used very frequently in undergraduate education. So Ms. Friedman's family assessment model. So she developed this, like I said before, to identify the needs of families and any barriers to effective care. So some categories that she thinks that we should consider are a developmental stage in the history of the family. So basically, we just want to know kind of the origin and history of both parents. That gives us a better idea of who's involved in this, and most specifically in the NICU to the baby's care. Her environmental data section. We want to know kind of what the home looks like, who lives in the home, if there's running water, electricity, if there's any barriers there. We want to know about the neighborhood. Do they live in the inner city? Do they live in a rural area? Is transportation an issue? And then family structure. So we want to know who makes up their family. We want to know how they communicate with one another. In my current experience, communication seems to be one of the biggest areas where families struggle. Power structures as well. We want to know who wears the pants in the family, who makes the decisions. Is it just one person, or does everyone communicate together to come to a decision, which is really important for our NICU babies. Role structure. So is there a formal or informal role structure? Is it kind of traditional in that, mom takes care of the house and the kids and dad goes to work every day to bring home the bacon? Are the roles reversed, or does everyone kind of share the responsibilities in the home? And then family values is pretty self-explanatory. We just want to know what's most important to our families, and how they prioritize the needs of their home. So family functions, we want to know if everyone is kind of close-knit, if it's a large family, if it's a smaller family, if, we only talk to each other when we need to talk to each other, those kinds of things, just so we can get an idea of what kind of support this family will have. So healthcare function, this is obviously a big one. So we want to know, first and foremost, right out of the gate, how this family perceives the health status of their infant. What I come into contact most with in the NICU is that it's one or the other, that a baby who's very ill, moms and dads can't really comprehend just how serious the illness is, or the complete opposite, where the infant isn't that sick, and probably, just needed a little extra time to transition from womb to neonatal life. And we educate these parents, and, we've just totally disrupted their thought on how this birthing experience was supposed to go. And so they kind of panic and they think this is the end. And so that's what I like to start with first. Other things we need to know are shopping practices, things like who buys the groceries in the house, who does all the planning for things that you need, and most importantly, preparation of meals. And then, unfortunately, in my population, this is pretty prevalent, but we also need to know if anybody in the family is using any recreational drugs, alcohol or tobacco. And so it's just important because we need to know that for any neonatal abstinence scoring that we may need to do. And then moving on to family stress, coping, and adaptation. We want to know if there's any stressors that are currently happening before this NICU stay occurred. We don't really need to know all the nitty-gritty details, but it is nice to know whether the family is already under stress. Gives us a better idea of what to prepare for and how to help them in the end. The definition of the situation, which I already said earlier, is most important so we can really understand what they understand about their baby in the NICU. And then we want to know, obviously we'll observe this, but how the family reacts to the stressors. There are some parents who want to be called if we make a change in fluid status. If we gave a bath for the first time, parents sometimes want to be there. Some parents don't want to be there. So it's really important just to know what's important to them and their baby's care so that we can keep them updated the best we can to make a smoother stay for them while they're in the NICU. And it's pretty clear, usually within the first couple days, what kind of coping strategies these parents have. Some of them don't have any, and some of them have probably too many. So it's nice to identify those. So in the NICU, I believe 100% it is all about family nursing. There are so many different dynamics of families that I have come into contact with single parents, messy marriages, grandparents as parents for the second time, those kinds of things. It's just really important to identify who's going to be that mom's support person, because for us, she's that forefront person, unless otherwise, for some weird reason, she can't be there. It's really nice to know if she has the support system in place so that if she doesn't, we can be that support person for her. But a lot of times, specifically where I work now, we see a lot of neonatal abstinence babies. And it seems their relationships with people seem to be the toughest. A lot of our moms don't have great relationships with their moms, and so that stresses them. And more often than not, the father of the baby isn't in the picture. So that leaves that mom kind of by herself dealing with this very stressful situation in the NICU. So the way that we identify barriers in my NICU is we actually have a packet that is, I'm not sure if it's 100% from Dr. Friedman, but it's very similar in that we look at all of the categories that I mentioned previously to identify how we can help these parents in the acute stage in the NICU, as well as how we can give them the resources that they need to be successful once that baby is discharged. It makes discharge planning so much simpler if we start this process day one, so that we can get all the people that we need to get involved, mostly social work. They have all of the resources that we could possibly think of to help these moms the best that we can, whether it be a housing issue, whether it be someone providing clothes, formula, those kinds of things. WIC is a big one. And we can get them in contact with other moms who had NICU babies that now have chronic issues, so they can have a support system there.